So I am livid, and it's not just because I'm barely in the frame or the fact that this hat is cutting off circulation, though it surely is a contributing factor in my upsetness. I thought after beating Donkey Kong Jr. that was um, a nail in the coffin of what was Donkey Kong Jr. in that specific game. But it turns out that Donkey Kong Jr., during its port to Game & Watch, underwent such remarkable changes that it is considered a completely new game, and that game is entitled Donkey Kong 2. I only have myself to blame because I'm going in order, and that is just a constriction that I'm placing upon myself. I could skip around and just say, fuck it, we're doing Mario Galaxy. But these games are short, so I guess it's, testing my endurance or working on my endurance, building it up. I know this one's on the Game & Watch, so that's a small machine. Hopefully it can't, use much RAM. So we'll see. Donkey Kong 2, here we go. Donkey Kong 2 is an early 1980s Nintendo game that features everyone's favorite Italian plumber as its antagonist, and is often considered the most forgotten of all the Donkey Kong franchise. Released initially solely on the Game & Watch, it was a part of the multi-screen series, and it hit the store shelves on March 7th, 1983. The 24th Game & Watch release, it was one of 12 for the vertical multi-screen series releases, but perhaps I should explain a little bit about that platform. It was a few years before my time, and I'm older than The Simpsons, which is honestly a disturbing and accurate way to delineate time. The Game & Watch were a series of portable gaming devices, yet separating them from the idea of the Game Boy, the Game Gear, or Nintendo Switch was that the machine itself was made for only one game. You'd buy a Game & Watch of Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., or Donkey Kong 2, or whatever you chose, and that would be the single game you could play. If you wanted to play a different one, you had to buy a different version of the Game & Watch. And there were a ton of versions, not only with differing software, but hardware as well. Whether it be one screen or two, Nintendo was constantly making innovations to their merchandise and equipment. The basic model just opened up like a make-up compact, and one side of that you'd have a screen, the other controls. But Donkey Kong 2 was different. As a part of the vertical multi-screen series, it still opened up in the same traditional trademark compact way, but now both sides were occupied by a screen. The buttons on the margins were very similar to the Switch of modern times, yet as Donkey Kong Jr. fought to save his father, the protagonist would climb from one screen to the one above it. The graphics are primitive, but the gaming experience at the time was revolutionary. An arcade-like experience that you could not only have at home, but also mobile. It was an easy sell, and the Donkey Kong 2 version of Game & Watch would sell over 1 million units worldwide by itself. But if it was so successful, why is it often considered forgotten? Even in a previous video, I dismissed it as a port of Donkey Kong Jr. What makes it so unique and distinct that it needs its own entry? Developed by the Nintendo R&D 1 team, the game is largely based on Donkey Kong Jr., but it isn't exactly the same. The story follows an identical structure, sure. Mario is not being super by any stretch, and as a retaliation for the events of the first Donkey Kong game, he has imprisoned Donkey Kong the character. Donkey Kong Jr. must fight to save his father through platforms filled with Snapjaws, birds, and sparks. But whereas DK Jr. saw the onesie-wearing ape fighting over a multitude of stages, Donkey Kong 2 seems to combine elements from all of those levels into one super stage. Combining the climbing of vines, the dodging of electrical currents, and the upward ascension, DK Jr. must jump to knock a key from the bottom left corner of the bottom screen to the bottom left corner of the top screen. Then, climbing up to retrieve that key, must place the key into one of the designated lock slots. After a key has been inserted, one chain is released from the captive Kong, allowing Jr. to descend to the lower screen and retrieve the next key, repeating until all keys have been gathered and the paternal figure is freed. Now, the Game & Watch had a function that allowed you to choose from two different forms of play, a Game A button and a Game B button. For Game A, once you completed a key into lock installment, all enemies would disappear until you return to the bottom screen. For Game B, no such luck. The enemies would keep attacking in their relentless attempt to keep children separated from their parents. As opposed to the Donkey Kong Jr. game, Jr. in this one has the capability to jump, and every time he jumps over a Snapjaw or a Spark, he receives a point. The faster you do the job of transferring the keys from the bottom screen to the locks at the top, the more points you receive. When you free Donkey Kong Sr., you get 20 points. After the game is completed, it repeats with increased difficulty. If you're hit by a spark, a bird, or a Snapjaw, you lose a life. The game ends when the player loses 3 lives. The game would later be released on the Game Boy Color as a part of the Game & Watch Gallery 3 collection in 2000. It's mostly regulated to the collector's items sections on eBay and the hardcore Nintendo enthusiasts. And part of me gets that. It doesn't add significant story elements, the gaming system is limited, and it feels ultimately like an alternate version of the same thing we did in Donkey Kong Jr. The Mario sprite does look more akin to the Mario we will come to recognize, and it definitely has play value. I had a great time playing it, but we'll talk about that in the next section of the video. While it is nice to see an alternate take on Junior's escapades, ultimately this proves to be a sadly forgotten step in Mario's Odyssey. Plus, they didn't even give him a helicopter in this one. Okay, so I am... Oh crap, I can do that. That's crazy. I'm going to be playing this Donkey Kong 2 on an emulator. Oh, it's so loud. I don't even know where I am. Okay, I found myself. I got bit. Okay, got it. I'm not understanding this game at all. The fuck am I supposed to do? How do I restart it? I guess relaunch it. Okay, here we go. Oh no, fuck me, what happened? Okay, so I can, This is completely different. This is insane. This is just literally insane. Hold up, baby. Daddy's trying to save Donkey Kong. Fucking alligator got me. Oh, I got electrocuted. No. Oh. Okay, I got the swing of it. God damn it, I fucked up so bad. Ah, fucking electricity. I got bird. Bird got me, baby. I don't know how to restart the game. I died immediately. Immediately I died. I hate the sound. I do like his little, oh, fuck, no. Don't step on an alligator. The mechanic of, having to go back up and down, that's what she said, it's kind of interesting. Ah, fucking electricity. Navigating back and forth. Fucking electricity. Alligator. Okay, one more lap. I wonder if there are multiple levels or if that's the last one. But it also seems like everything's amped up on this last thing. Oh, so I guess that's it. Alright, cool. That's a nice little, easy little fucking game. I don't mind that at all. And I guess it repeats the same as the ways the others do. Yeah, I dig the shit out of that. That was cool. Here's my puppy. I look horrible, but I have defeated Donkey Kong 2. It wasn't as difficult as I thought it might be. It was actually the shortest of all of the games I've played so far. Now, again, mind you, I'm only playing it till I actually beat the levels possible and before the repetition of the game starts. I just want to get to the end of the game itself, right? I had never played a Game & Watch that's a little bit before my time, even though I look like I'm older than dirt. But I was sort of apprehensive about the mechanics of it because it seemed sort of limited. And it is. It definitely is. I was not wrong in that regard by any means. But it was still fun. I still had a good time. And it is drastically different enough where it does not feel like Donkey Kong Jr. It's the same idea, but even the mechanics have changed a little bit where it's now all about that key insertion. But the fact that it does have the 2 screens makes it sort of a novel idea. And some of the mechanics are a little bit different. So it does make for a little fun experience. I get why it's not
super popular, and I think that the reason is not because of the lack of fun that the game provides. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh God! But I do think the reason it's not super well remembered is because of the Game and Watch itself. I think an innovative, creative, cool, necessary step forward in the gaming process, but ultimately sort of overshadowed by the things that came after it, sort of idea, and the fact that each one only contains one game makes it feel more novelty-ish, so it feels more disposable, probably, I think, within the zeitgeist of culture. But it is fun. It's super, like, I enjoyed the shit out of playing it. Like, I don't like it as much as Donkey Kong Jr. I don't know if I think I like it probably on par with Donkey Kong, the first one. Like, yeah, but it was, and Mario looks like closer to what, because they've stretched him out a little bit, so he's more resemblant of Mario that we will know. But yeah, so this has been interesting. So I think the next game is actually a Mario Brothers game. I don't know. Fucking don't quote me yet, but we'll find out. I'm super excited to see. Fuck yeah. The end. Bye.